بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا كثيرا طيبا باركا فيه والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. We continue reading from Imam Al-Ghazali's Criterion of Action, Mizan Amal. And if you are following the Dar al-Minhaj Arabic edition, we are on page 247 with the second hypothetical question, and we have read that at the end of the last session. Imam Ghazali rahimahullah said, you might then say, فَإِنْ قُلْتُ, if you say, although I do not believe in the way of the Sufis, my soul will not allow me to fall so low in their estimation and be seen in this light, having spent my life in the study of jurisprudence and its disagreements and schools. Why do you say that their perspective demands this? My answer, Imam Ghazali's answer, is that you must surely realize the reason for this. If you acknowledge the details of what we have seen about how happiness is contingent upon the erasure and affirmation of the soul and its contents, erasure of what ought not to be, in order to purify it, and affirmation of what ought to be in order to perfect it by the unveiling of realities to it. This cannot be done without refinement of character and meditation upon the bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the dominion of heaven and earth until their secrets are uncovered. Jurisprudence is required only inasmuch as everyone needs a body, and the body cannot be preserved without the sciences of bodies, which is medicine, and the science of religion, which is jurisprudence. Man was created such that he cannot live alone like a wild animal, but must live among fellows who cooperate in many endeavors, such as the production of food and clothing and their tools. And if they are to have a society, they must have justice and a law by which to govern their transactions, without which they would descend into arguing and fighting to their ruin. Commenting on this paragraph, if you are familiar with Jean-Jacques Rousseau, he argues and of course there is he argues almost the same like Imam Al-Ghazali, except that between them we have Imam Al-Ghazali, of course, died in the year 1111. That's 505 of the Hijri calendar, and Jean-Jacques Rousseau passed away in 1778, and I think the social contract we have this kind of argument, but I wanted to highlight that this is Imam Ghazali was ahead of Jean-Jacques Rousseau in principle. He did not write the same book like the social contract, but it's right here in front of us. Jean-Jacques Rousseau speaks about the noble savage and the necessity of giving up your absolute freedom in nature in order to form this civil society in which there is division of labor. Some people will do one thing and others do another, and that's exactly what Imam Ghazali is doing right here. And this is why I would like to just again, Imam Ghazali, when he says like a wild animal, you cannot live like a wild animal, meaning you cannot live alone like a wild animal, though some wild animals do live like families, like tribes, like packs, if you will, depends on what animal. And the Quran refers to amthalkum. The animals also have not nations as political entity, but they do have that kind of collective. And this is when Imam Ghazali says, but must live like the human being, man must live. You cannot live alone, but must live among fellows who cooperate in many endeavors, such as the production of food and clothing and their tools, and etc. You need a society. They must have justice and the law. That's exactly what Jean-Jacques Rousseau says in the social contract. One would want to go further into this. Imam Ghazali continues. He says, jurisprudence then is the elucidation of that law. People need the law. Jurisprudence is that law, as detailed in the areas of marriage, transactions, and criminal justice. On the road of the wayfarers to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the body is like the camel and saddlebag on the road to Hajj, or on the road to the Hajj. The interests of the body are like the interests of the camel and saddlebag. The knowledge that sees to the welfare of the body is the craft that sews, measures, and cleans the saddlebag. They share the same level with regard to the ultimate goal. If what the Sufis say is true about the journey, the preparation, and the goal. They also say that I think it's basically an answer to the what has been stated in this paragraph. They also say that were it not that Allah willed for the world to thrive, the veils would have lifted and all the heedlessness ceased. If there's nothing hidden and you see everything, if you could see things for what they are, and you see the hereafter, and you see paradise, and you see hellfire, and you see, oh yes, there would be no, everything would cease, really. Everything would cease. And we talk about everything would cease, not only heedlessness, but why would you basically go into elaborate works, probably we will not have wars, no genocides. Probably. So they share the same level with regard to the ultimate goal, if what the Sufis say is true about the journey, the preparation and the goal. They also say that were it not that Allah willed for the world to thrive, the veils would have lifted and all heedlessness ceased, and all humanity would have turned towards the path to Allah, each party abandoning all that is distant from that goal. Yet each party exults in what they have, and that is simply how the world must be, as otherwise all the crafts would be ruined. For if every tailor, scribe, and barber ceased to believe in the things that made him incline towards his craft and chose instead the most noble of all crafts, most crafts would fall to ruin. For those beliefs are essential if those crafts are to exist at all. In this sense, their heedlessness is a mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some say that this is the meaning of the Prophet's words. And before I mention these words and comment on this, Imam Sha'rawi, the late Egyptian contemporary Egyptian scholar who was famous for his interpretation of the Holy Quran. I remember him saying that if all people become physicians, life on earth would collapse. That's exactly what Imam Ghazali is trying to say. كل ميسر لما خلق له. That this is we need every single profession in the society. Now we go back to these words, and following that, again, Imam Ghazali would make a statement about what happens if all these professions collapse. What is described here as a hadith is not a hadith. The divergence of my community is a mercy. اختلاف أمتي رحمة. It's not a hadith. It's a late statement. And if we say that there is if we say that if the idea here is that as Imam Ghazali understands this as their divergent aspirations, that is their divergent aspirations, يعني اختلاف هممهم. If the street sweeper recognized his craft for what it was, he would abandon it. And the scholars, caliphs, and saints would have to do it themselves. The same goes for tanning. Tanning basically leather, smithing, farming, and all the rest. So if all people wouldn't do all these jobs, then the scholars, the authorities, if you will, and the awliya, they would have to make up, they have to fill in, they have to cover the during the reign, the caliphate of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab, radiallahu anhu. His amil, like a governor in one of the cities of Iraq, and probably it was Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. His speech to people when he was appointed as governor, it was extremely short, but it's remarkable. He told them, I came to clean your courtyards and to teach you your religion. أنظف أفنيتكم وأعلمكم دينكم. And we still have the first part, which is like if we talk about the mayor of a city, the role of the mayor is to make sure that the city is clean, that the city is served well, that the streets are open even during snowstorms, that water, running water, of course, is there, that sewage is functioning, that all these things. The second part about teaching you religion, of course, it seems that not many politicians refer or include religion in their discourse. Just so, were it not that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the sciences of jurisprudence, grammar, phonetics, and medicine agreeable to the hearts of certain people, those sciences would have been neglected, upsetting the universal order. Yet the one who devotes himself to a particular science or craft need not concern himself with his level and value compared to those above him, nor to those below him. The only one who need concern himself with all the levels of the sciences is the one who has engaged with them all. He is the one to whom Allah has given wisdom and shown him things as they truly are. This is the answer to those people. It is for you to decide whether you would rather confine yourself to your current situation or follow the path of those others and delve into this art that you may discover the truth about it. The 10th duty of the learner is to ensure that his intention in everything he learns is the perfection and virtue of his soul in the present and nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the hereafter. His intention must not be to attain prominence and wealth, or to lord over the uneducated and debate with the educated. What at the very beginning of Ihya Ulumuddin, Imam Al-Ghazali mentions those who seek knowledge, يتدرع from dir'a, almost like wearing it to show off, للمباهاة. You wrap yourself with knowledge. It's of course, it's a metaphor, like you don't wear knowledge, but the idea is as if one attains knowledge only to show off and simply wearing that knowledge in public. The Prophet ﷺ said, again, this hadith has a weak chain of narrators, but the meaning is could be true. The one who pursues knowledge to Lord over the uneducated and to debate with the educated will go to hell. At least we know for sure that you don't do that. This is not in line with Islamic adab, and it's, in a sense, it's punishable. Also, the idea here becomes that the notion, the fear of the of being involved in an act of association because your intention is not for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have seen that the sciences have stages on the road to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that those who engage in them are like the guards posted at encampments on the road to war. If each one recognizes his status and lives up to it and seeks the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by it, his reward will not go to waste, for Allah will raise him according to the worth of his knowledge in the here below and the hereafter. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Allah will raise of those of you who have faith and those who have been given knowledge in degrees. And He says, they are of degrees before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. يرفع الله الذين آمنوا منكم والذين أوتوا العلم درجات وقال هم درجات عند الله. Now, you must not let your opinion of the sciences fall because of what we related from the Sufis, for they do not hold the sciences in contempt, and indeed every Muslim respects and reveres the sciences. When they said what they said, they were speaking relative to the level of the saints and prophets. You might think little of a clerk in the presence of sultans and viziers, but that does not mean you would disparage him in comparison to a street sweeper or a tanner. Nor would you find fault with someone merely because fate decreed that he falls short of the absolute highest level. For the highest level is for the prophets, then the saints, then the scholars with their divergent levels, then the workers of righteousness. In sum, whoever does an atom's weight of good shall see it. فَمَن يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ. And whoever seeks to draw near to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the sciences will be blessed and raised by Allah without doubt. Those then are the duties of the learner. As for the duties of the teacher and instructor, they are 8 in number. Before everything else, know that man passes between 4 states regarding knowledge. Just as he does regarding wealth. The owner of wealth has a state of acquisition when in the process of earning, a state of storing what he has earned so that he has no need to beg of others, a state of spending on himself so as to benefit from it, and a state of passing its benefit on to others by spending on them generously, which is his noblest state. The same applies to knowledge, whose possessor has a state of acquisition, a state of attainment, which is when the knowledge is instilled in him and he no longer needs to ask about it, a state of insight, which is when he contemplates what he has attained, and a state of elucidation and teaching, which is his noblest state. When someone encounters knowledge and acquires it, and then passes it to others, he is like the sun, which illuminates for itself and others, and is itself bright, or like musk, which makes other things fragrant and is itself fragrant. The one who passes it to others without benefiting from it himself is like a notebook, which is useful to others but has no use for itself, or like a whetstone, which sharpens other objects but is too dull to cut, or like the wick of a lamp, which provides light for others even as it burns. Suffice it for today, and inshallah tomorrow we'll begin with the first of the duties of the teacher, the instructor, and you have that kind of parental relationship to begin with. Inshallah, we leave that until tomorrow. Until then, inshallah, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.